Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack. We also have
Calvin Ellis ready to rock.
today we're here to talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This is the movie that just came out this weekend. It came and did gangbuster numbers. It did very well. It's a strong push for an American-made Asian film, an Asian superhero film, Asian cast, people behind the scenes, in the crew. This is a big major deal for Marvel, for movies in general, and it's a success. But now that we've got past that, we got to get to the movie. Now, this movie is basically about our friend Sean. Sean is a is a valet with his friend, his close friend, and what is his friend's
Aquafina,
name again? No, what's her name in the story?
Katie.
Katie. Oh yeah, Katie. Oh my goodness. Well, you're right. Let's just go with Aquafina because no one's thinking about her name. So basically, they're both sort of ne'er do wells in their life, and you get kind of calling they need to do more, but at the same time, they're forces behind the scenes that are interacting, and we see characters that we've seen only in a comic book. Somehow they couldn't go full Razor Fist, so they have Razor Fist. And he meets Shang-Chi on the bus, and that leads Shang-Chi, or they call him Shang-Chi, to his next thing to meet the person behind the Ten Rings, the stuff we've been seeing little bits about. And before we get any more into that story, what are your thoughts so far?
Oh, oh man. Okay. Well, I will start off saying that I have been very familiar with Shang-Chi from the comics. Love the character. I've already gone on record. I'm a very big Bruce Lee exponent. And so these type of things attracted me as a kid because I was such and still am such a exponent. Yeah, I have such reverence for Bruce Lee. So I was looking into all of this stuff great. And if you actually read Shang-Chi's origin, Special Marvel Edition 15, that's a very heavy origin. It's really heavy. So this guy is being trained from the youngest of ages to be literally the perfect fighting weapon. And then he's sent on an assignment to kill someone. And he thinks about it, but he does his father's bidding, similar to what we see in the film over here. And then he finds out that his father is Fu Manchu, evil beyond evil. And he says, no, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to take you down. And Fu Manchu's like, well, yeah, you can come and get me if you want. He's like, but I've got people all over the world, and all of my evil will be directed at stopping you. And that's pretty much the start of 110 issues worth of action and adventure and espionage, of which would be the series, The Deadly Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. In the film, I don't know who this character is, to be quite honest. I mean, and then the story, I was like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. They had the makings of 2 or 3 different things all together, and then we get to the last act, and the last act is sort of like Rhea and the Last Dragon, and all these literally fantastic beasts and where to find them, and they're literally just come. And I was like, huh, where the hell did this come from?
Well,
But
I got something for that, but yeah, I know what you feel. I know what you feel on that one.
but I said, you know what? In all honesty, I said, no. If you're not like me and you're not familiar with Shang-Chi, you can go into this film, and this is a great introduction to this character who's going to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For me, there were a bunch of there was just a bunch of stuff where after a while I was like, look, I don't know what's going on. I reckon. Well, I'll get to that. That'll be later. But I think if you're coming in, this is a good film. In some aspects, it's a great film for this first over of I just can't call him. I can't call him Shang-Chi. I can't. I just refuse. Even when we have the scene, we even have the scene in the film where he's telling Aquafina how to pronounce his name because nobody in the audience is probably going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, Chinese, for those of us who don't speak Chinese, Chinese is a tonal language. It's not like English. English is flat. So you could say what, and it doesn't matter. It's all what at the end of the day. That emphasis usually betrays emotion. But in Chinese, be it Mandarin or Cantonese, that emphasis, okay, well, that's a totally different word. Okay, and then the Chinese vocabulary, there aren't as many words overall in the Chinese vocabulary as they are in English. So the tones help the tones really make a difference. So when he's saying his name, it sounds like he's singing at one point, Shang-Chi. And you're like, nobody's gonna walk around doing that. Everybody's gonna like, what you look like, just like some idiot.
Well, I would only cut in to add that when they say it in the natural language, it's said fast so fast it sounds like Shang-Chi because they're like Shang-Chi, and then when they say it in English, it's Shang-Chi, and then they say it in China, oh man, it's like it's Shang-Chi. I was like, come on, what's going on here?
When I was learning to speak the language,
Mm-hmm.
the tones do matter. But then I noticed after a while the tones don't matter with certain words because you can't be saying anything else.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't be saying anything else but this. So they're not gonna, it's not gonna be too mistaken, but it does help you with accent, so on and so forth. No, I mean, because I'm listening to it when they're speaking, and it depends too, because some of them are again, some people are pronouncing it, Shang-Chi, and then others of them, they're that chi that the T sound is coming across like a G at the end of the day. So I'm picking this up as I was going through it, and I was just like, Shang-Chi worked very well because everybody could pronounce it without having to worry about it at the end of the day. But hey, we can always just call him Sean.
Well, that was kind of a cut to the call. Hey, Sean, like it's almost like Cha Cha. But anyway, with that said, we're led into the big fight that happens in there, leads him to have to reveal things to Katie,
The
and for
bus
some
fight?
reason,
The bus fight?
yeah, the bus fight.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the bus fight.
Okay, so basically the bus fight happens. There's some, I guess, some fun things. It's similar to what happened in Spider-Man 2, but like what would really happen that people start videotaping that sort of thing. And there's some okay action in it. I don't think it actually. Well, the visuals kind of get. I don't know. Did seem kind of similar to Ant-Man because Ant-Man had some of that stuff in there, and obviously Speed and they try to do some other visual stuff, but I think it was okay for me. It wasn't that crazy because it just some of the familiarity of the other movies kind of might have kind of drained the scene for me, but otherwise it was okay. What are you thinking?
Well, they were going for like a Rush Hour Jackie Chan sequence, if you will.
Hmm. Okay.
So you go over there, and the whole like, I mean, because there's one point where he does a really cool move where you see him like jump, and he like slithers behind the handrail to
Yeah.
do something, and then he works his way up. And I'm like, okay, all of that, Jackie Chan, that's Jackie Chan choreography if I've ever seen. Okay, and executed very, 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 very well at the point. But then I was like, okay, that's the type of martial arts we're going for here. We're not going for Bruce Lee, who in his films, Bruce Lee is the master of kung fu. There's nobody in this film as good as him. We're going for an excellent fighter, okay, and with the mixture of that particular choreography. But I thought the bus scene worked very well to introduce what he's capable of in terms of fighting. And I would have loved to have seen more of that, but then later on, that all gets sidelined, and when we see him fight with his sister, and that for me was very disappointing.
Well, let's before we get to that, because one thing that they did do was try to give us the history like it would be in sort of an Asian film, where we kind of break sort of any sort of storytelling. We just go into this flashback that could be long as hell, which is a common motif in like these Asian karate, the Crouching Tiger, and some karate films, that sort of stuff. You can have this sort of thing happen, and they did have that with Shang-Chi, with his father having the rings already, but then he has this whole excursion meeting Shang-Chi's mother, and this whole story that goes on, but something happened between them to cause the mother to pass, and that gets revealed throughout the story. But going back to it, they had to go on this trip because he got this postcard that was from his sister. So he goes to the address, And he doesn't realize in going to this address and signing this form, like anyone would when you have to go to something you don't know about, he signs this form and he signed up for a fight. So when he signs up for this fight, he then of course is going to fight his sister. So I hand it back to you now.
Now, that for me becomes one of the first times I say, why is Aquafina going along with him at this point? She's like, you can tell me on the plane. I'm like, why is she going?
Yeah.
She's just gonna be, I guess she's just gonna be there. It's like, what purpose does she serve going along? You're not his girlfriend. Okay, you're not his girlfriend, so why are you coming? Well, we're really good friends. That's great. I was a really good friend. He's not paying for a ticket for me to come with him. And I believe this is presumably going to be dangerous. So why is she there? But hey, she gets there. And then they get to the fight with him and his sister. So I'm looking, his sister, by her own admission, did not train with him and with these people. She watched from a distance and is autodidactic, if you will. She's training herself while she's looking. I trained myself to be even better than them. Yeah, whatever. I get it.
Girl, now, wait a second. That's the same thing that happened in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when Splinter learned from his master, watching him and matching the moves.
Splinter is a rat. Okay. Splinter is a rat. Splinter is able to learn these moves as a rat, and maybe he's a little bit better because he's a radioactive transformed mutant rat. So okay, I'll give you that much. Maybe a rat could do it better than a human being. Maybe they have more fast muscle. Okay, this over here, no, she's pretty much watched these guys. She trained herself. I got it, girl power, no problem. And they put together. This is the big difference between the character in this movie and Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is the master of Kung Fu. Okay, if he's saying I'm not going to fight my sister, he's not going to fight her, but he's also not going to lose the fight. He'll find a way to restrain her or to immobilize her. Or he'll get up behind her and pinch a nerve or something and knock her out and then say, now can we talk, or something of that nature. But he's not going to let himself get KO'd. He's not going to let himself just get knocked out. And then it took away, he had that whole scene with the bus where he takes on all of these guys. Doesn't get a scratch. And I'm like, the best that you can do with your sister is just let her to beat up on you and get knocked out. That really took me out at the end of the day. But again, this is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, not Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. All right, so I was like, okay, so I see what we're gonna get over here. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching. But again, this is something else that's starting to really get to me and annoy me, that the pandering to women throughout all of these films has gotten with me to a point where it's so on the nose. It's so on the nose at the end of the day. The separation of his sister, where she can't train, but she trained her and she became better. She's gonna come over here and beat him up at the end of the day. And I'm like, I get the fact that she's angry and so on and so forth, and you don't want to fight her, but you don't have to let her beat you up either. This isn't a zero-sum game. It's not mutually exclusive, but the amount of pandering to the percentage, I guess, of the audience that's going to be female has really gotten to, it's past my upper lip at this point. It's right by the nose. And once it goes any further, I think I'm just going to be out. I will just enjoy the MCU as I enjoyed it up to a point. But I think they really need to start getting a handle on this because it's become too obvious. I think you start putting it together with, a couple more films. You're like, look, come on, man. You're killing off all the guys in the film. You have, what is it? You had the leader, what's his name? Balgong, something of that nature. I can't remember. Apologies if I'm saying it incorrectly. But he's the leader who, when they get to the magical village, and he tells Aquafina, no, you're not ready. You need to stay back. Even though somehow Trevor was on the front line, that made no sense to me. But and then what happens? He ends up dead.
Okay, no, all right. So we gotta get to there slowly because there's some things I want to unpack as we keep going, right? So because we got the magical land. It's something we gotta get to in a second. So
we're gonna go in order.
Going in order. We're staying in order because we can lose track of this thing and tearing apart.
That's what the people.
So, you're breaking up.
The people want us to lose control.
All right, no. I mean, I mean, because after this setting was okay for me, even though I wasn't big on the Wong and the Abomination thing, but moving forward, and even that, because I think when you were talking, especially when you talk about going back to the his sister fighting. The thing is that for these stories, which I liked in the Black Widow, is that at some point you gotta let the babes get hit. And I know since what was that movie with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, where Brad Pitt is hitting her in the face, and people were like, "Ooh, this was kind of like they're in a fight. It's a fight." So I understand we don't like to see them get hit, and it kind of you can look at it and say like, "Well, boom, this feels like it's kind of like no, they're agents." So in that movie with those two, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they're in a fight, it's gonna be brutal. And these guys in life or death fight, she has to get hit. You have to break the fourth wall and let people get hit, not be soft and be like, well, the audience will be kind of upset if a woman gets hit. And it's just like, no.
Damn right, and they should be.
Or else you got to take them out to fight. Then you got
Yes,
to be
there you
like,
go. Now
hey,
you got it.
we don't want them. We don't want to be like. Then what is a fight? That's what happens.
No,
You know.
you can't. One for me, look, you can't have it both ways. But the push has been with this whole, just as good, can do everything of this nature. But in the same breath, I know they don't want to show that and normalize it because then it becomes all right. They're afraid. Well, hey, if somebody does do something and now we got fight clubs and and girls are getting beat up by dudes and such, they're gonna be like, oh, where did they get this idea? Well, they got this idea from the movies and so on and so. So you can't have it both ways at the end of the day. But you keep putting them in these situations. You want the only way that the woman in the film can show herself to be as competent for some reason is that she's got to not only fight the guy, but she's got to beat up the guy. She can't take any hits though.
Now I'm okay. I'm okay if you do because in movies is set up where you do things where you have someone that's I mean, Marvel is a whole slew of the attack of 5'2" women, right? It's a whole slew, but the whole point is when you look at that scene where they got when what's the name is in danger, you have Black Widow in danger a number of times, not just what's the name when the guy's saying you can't touch me, and he's just beating the hell out of her. This is where we feel danger. We feel like the hero's in trouble. And this happens with guys. That's why Bruce Willis in Die Hard, his feet is all messed up. He's got no clothes on, and he's struggling to get through. And you worry about them, but then sit around and say, "Ooh, this changes it. She got hit in the face. That's kind of wrong." Or they'll then hit her in the stomach. It's like it's a movie, and it's like the thing is like people recover from these fights. Like they get punched, they get tossed in three walls, they wake up and start fighting again. They don't stop. It's a movie.
I
Don't
don't know.
chicken out.
I don't. Yeah, I think they should chicken out.
Well, the way you want them to chicken out, so they just don't do it in general. They're already going to a movie. It's a fantasy, and it's just like if you don't, if you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. If you don't want to do it, then chicken out and get out of there.
Chicken out. Don't do it. Okay, you're setting yourself up. You're setting yourself up for
They're not
big
listening
double
to you.
for the big double whammy. I mean, look, with dudes, it's not the same. You can have a 5'3" guy fight a 6' guy, and every guy knows what do we call that? That's a fair fight. Nobody's ever going to come and say, "Oh, look how much bigger this dude was." No, but guys, and we learned this back, when we're like in high school or grade school. Size isn't necessarily strength. A 5'3" guy and could knock crap out of a 6' guy at the end of the day. The only way you're going to find that out is you got to fight. However, okay, when it's the different sexes, that's most of it's a foregone conclusion. So I get the whole the attack of the 5' stuff, and we're supposed to suspend disbelief, but you're opening the door for a lot of this stuff. And once the door is open, these guys don't know restraint. Hollywood. Why can't she get hit square in the face and her jaw broken? Why can't she get a neck snap? Why can't she do that? And then then once you do that, then it becomes like, oh, it's great until somebody starts complaining. Then you got your new version of what? Instead of sad, it'll be mad. It'll be Marvel moms against, whatever it is at the end of the day. Just don't look. Plenty of people to fight. Let them fight the villains or something at the end of the day.
When I say that, I'm saying like even we talked about it privately, talking about the Chrissy Martin thing. When you want to get a superhero, a female superhero, you get the Charlize Theron, you get the Layla Ali, you get people of some size that look like they could do it, that are babes and they look like they could fight. That's the fun part of it. Not just say, you know what, hey, I really like this person. No, the thing is, you already picked your what's the name, and they did it where, I mean, there's issues you can bring up with Black Widow, but at least they said, hey, she's gonna take some hits, and that's a movie. That's what you had to do. All your heroes had to go through some sort of challenge. This thing of just sort of having this invisible force field around the mother, well, the mother actually you don't get to see it. She loses in the end, but you know. But anyway, let's keep going. So
Oh, the mother was like, what? She was like, oh, I'm a great fighter as long as I got this water dragon. Then they come over and overwhelm me. That I thought was, for me, I was just like, oh, thank God they didn't show this fight. Come over, got the mother fighting, and they what, like 15, 16 dudes? I was like, my God.
well, let's. But so
Just
we
shoot her.
yeah, this is mob guys that come with just hand strength. They come all the way out there with nothing. All right. So at this point, then they lead to what I think was one of the funnest scenes when they're fighting on the side of the building, and the sister's like, "I'm out." The next thing you know, they got Aquafina still there. They're trying to get away. Aquafina falls to her death. I was like, "Oh well, this is a good scene." But then the sister comes and saves the day. And it's just like, what are you doing? And then they had to call it out, and that's the thing I don't like, calling out in the dialogue. You know, it's like, oh, I left, and then I said it's okay, and then I came back. I didn't do like he did. I was just like, whatever. But there was a good action scene. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
The bus was fun. This scene was fun.
more Jackie
Um,
Chan.
yeah, there you go. I'm glad you brought that up. But then we hit into now he's not actually going by the Mandarin. And I have a little passage. Now I know you already knew the meaning to this, but he brings him to dinner and he talks about, or he takes him back home and he brings him to dinner
Yeah,
and he
that orange malarkey, right? Yeah, okay.
yeah, so he's talking about the Mandarin, and then he also goes through and he brings up, I've been also known as Master Khan, which I said in one of our past episodes, they could just name the Mandarin Master Khan and call it a day. But then, but if you look at the character, it'd be
What
the
about
same.
yellow? What about yellow? What about Yellow Claw? They
Hey,
have,
I'm a fan of Yellow Claw, man. And
could we have gotten away with Yellow Claw? Because I mean, before I let you go on any further, pretty much what he's telling us is, I'm Fu Manchu. I'm just not using that name in this movie.
you know what? There you go.
I'm
Yeah.
shaving the mustache. Okay. I'm getting rid of the. I'm not gonna be in the what is it? I'm not gonna be in the robes. I'm not gonna have the hat. I'm not gonna have the Fu Manchu mustache. But I'm still Fu Manchu. They just cleaned me up really well. And if guess what? If you have no idea anything about Fu Manchu, you'll never know.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, that means they leave it more open for Fu Manchu than they would actually the Mandarin. But I want to, can you read these for me? Because just so people don't go to it's just an orange. These are actual definitions of Mandarin.
But Mandarin.
Yes.
Before I even get into this, anyone who has studied any Chinese history would know this guy with his mouth right over there. So much Mandarin malarkey. I'm sitting there, sniffing in my seat. I was like, oh, is this more audience education? Like how to pronounce Shang-Chi's name? Anyway, Mandarin. An official in any of the 9 top grades of the formal Imperial Chinese civil service. Secondary definition, a powerful official or senior bureaucrat, especially one perceived as reactionary and secretive.
That's all we needed to hear. He didn't have to trash the comic books. Why did they have to trash the comic books? And it's not, he didn't have to go another level of it. And then where the other movie, the Iron Man 3, is just like, yes, you know what? They thought it would be cool and they thought it would get out of trouble with the Asian market and they blew it. So now that, everyone knows that this is corrective tissue, but it's like they brought in another thing. It's like it didn't ring true. It's just for people on the bloggers to sit around and say, hey, it's an orange. You know it's an orange, yeah, but look at the definition before that one is a different. Like get out, like so. I was really bothered with that because it was unnecessary. It was probably just even a studio thing for Kevin Feige thing, just to say, So no one can say, hey, if anyone complains, just go to that scene at 40 minutes in or whatever it is. But at this point, they are, of course, they get locked up, and that's when you've already brought up that Trevor's in there, and I wasn't happy to see Trevor, but Trevor's in there, and he says this weird creature can get them to his mother's homeland, and he can, of course, they're gonna have some fun driving around just like the Mandarin did too, so or Fu Manchu did. So they go to this hidden land. Now, to me, at this point, I'm like saying, all right, this is not.
Wait.
What did I miss?
We got to talk about Trevor. We got to talk about
What are
Trevor.
we going to talk about? I don't like Trevor. What about Trevor?
Are you kidding me? Trevor was one of the best parts of this movie.
Trevor still brings up the bad feelings of Iron Man 3. What do you
Ben
like about
Kingsley.
Trevor?
Ben Kingsley came in. This much I have to say. I'm going to give it up for Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley is definitely the consummate actor. Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley, Academy Award winner Ben Kingsley came into this film and played comic relief, extended comic relief that he already showed in Iron Man 3. And not only did he do it, it worked. It worked throughout the entire thing at the end of the day. He's coming over to do this. It worked. I was just like, okay. And it was refreshing for me because some of the other parts of the movie were so light and disappointing. And then I'm coming in here and I was getting such a chuckle. You remember when he was talking about when he fell in love with theater? He's like, yeah, it was 1968, Planet of the Apes. And I'm in the theater. I'm in the theater when he says this. And I have a delayed reaction of about 2 or 3 seconds because it takes that long for it to hit me. I start laughing. Okay. I just start laughing to the point people start laughing with me because I was like, he's so in character. This dude is the worst actor on the planet. And you're seeing why. And then I'm missing part of the speech he's giving about the apes were acting like they were riding the horse. This guy really delivered on this. Trevor is a 3-dimensional character at the end of the day. I was like, hey, because I was like, what the hell is he even doing here? And I was like, you know what? The comic relief was here as well. So hey, Trevor. Trevor did everything he was supposed to do. Okay, he came in. Okay, he was this nonsense Mandarin, but he was funny, and then he provides more comic relief. We need to see more Trevor. More Trevor.
All right, so we've had our Trevor moment. At this point now, when they go to this hidden land, this literally, if you're a comic book fan, you know this. It turned into Shang-Chi and the Legend of Kunlun. It's like a mixture of Shang-Chi and Iron Fist put together because Iron Fist has the land that's in some weird area that has dragons and all this other stuff. And it's like
you said that part about the heart of the dragon.
it's like since we wouldn't let them use it in the TV show on Netflix because they have enough money to do it. We'll use all this stuff for Shang-Chi, and it's a note to I think something Byrne was talking about when he was talking about Iron Fist. He always said he kind of wished that Doug Mensch and Paul Glacy had kind of taken over Iron Fist and put all that energy into that book, and it would be like kind of the best mix of both. But it's like that's just as us as comic fans, we wouldn't as pros knowing that both of those titles kind of struggled. They're like, oh, this is what. But as fans, we're like, nah, they can stay separate. But then now it's like Marvel, like, nah, we're using all of this. This will give us our true Asian Crouching Tiger, Hidden Marvel sort of thing by throwing in Kunlun. This thing is totally Kunlun. But
he said Heart of the Dragon. He said Heart of the Dragon, and I was like, they're gonna take Danny's stuff.
Yes.
I was like, they're gonna take Danny's stuff and give it to shit. I was like, no, that's Danny's stuff.
Yes.
Danny's like, no. I was like, no, that's not right. This isn't even Shang-Chi's story. And then they went over some later stuff. I was like, okay, it's an actual dragon. that's not the same dragon. There could be more than one dragon, right? But they've already made it that this is an issue. Nobody can do any sort of no one can do any martial arts that come from China, Japan, or anywhere in Asia and be fight. So they've already got that problem. God knows if we'll ever see Iron Fist. And if we do see Iron Fist, what the hell he's gonna look like? They'll probably do another Snake Eyes on us and be like, wasn't this guy blonde and white in the comic? What happened?
Yeah.
Say, he got
So
better.
we get to Kunlun. I'm not calling it whatever name they came up for. They had the whole setup, and then they set up some of the stuff that his mom was doing, so Shang-Chi can do it. Not the daughter. Daughter wasn't that good. She wasn't looking at what the mother was doing, but I guess she was younger. She
No,
could.
she was looking at what the father was doing. We'll get into that later as well.
So so when you get to there, they know that the Mandarin and his crew are coming, and they're gonna try to destroy everything. But at the same time, I don't know. I can complain about that, but let's just, I mean, of this thing opening up, like just not let it open up for them. But they come in there with tons of, like, this is much easier. Oh yeah, the path's open. This is the, they said one point the path will open up so they can bring all their troops there, and they're
Yeah,
ready.
that's malarkey. That's malarkey.
So all their troops go, and they're there, and they get into a big fight. And of course, as you said, Aquafina is not supposed to fight, but of course that would lead her to fight some point later when some people go down, and she of course does the most important thing in the whole story, of course. But it's visually got some cool stuff going, except for those weird monsters that are dragging souls out, and the monster at the end where they try to come with something new and not use any of the classic Marvel things. So I know there's probably some people out there that know what monster this is, because it definitely wasn't Fing Fang Foom. But
I don't know what the hell that was. It
yeah,
doesn't look like any. It doesn't look like anything I've seen before in Marvel comic.
yeah. So I mean, this is the thing where Shang-Chi did a little bit of training, with Michelle Yeoh, and then next thing you know, he's got the wing thing, and he's not only got the wing stuff, he steals the bracelets. He gets to a fight with his father, takes the bracelets, got the whole thing. It's like, well, this has only been the handoff movie then. He's just getting hand off these bracelets, and he's gonna be, rocking out in as Shang-Chi or whatever he is. So
He'll be Shang-Chi, the master of feminine apparel.
So, the sister and him kind of trade off on the dragon. The dragon's about to get, kind of get taken out. Wife's on the side, she's worried about the dragon and whatnot. And then of course, Aquafina, she, does her what's that thing? What's that other movie that's out there with the bows and arrows?
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, yes, thank you. Hunger Games moment, and she strikes right, and then she's able to help them, and they deal with the monster. And of course, the dragon has this cool thing that it does. That I kind of, you get more into the creatures. I thought I want to see more of the lions, the funky lions that they had out there. But
Yeah, they should just have a movie for them.
So it was
I'm
all.
the guy who I'm the guy who watched He-Man to see Battle Cat. So that's me.
So we end. They stop everything. They're they have to figure out the father thing because the father has died. So they're gonna figure that stuff out. And then Sean goes back to America and he meets up with the friend that told him that they were near the wells. And this, for some reason, they tell them the whole Kunlun story, which is totally ridiculous. What superhero just goes off and tells everything? It's like,
These people,
it's like, I
they're
mean,
like, we don't want you here. We don't want you here. Get out. But you got to be here. Okay, we're gonna tell you everything.
and I guess that what happened, because that's the extra scene, right? So the extra scene is them talking, and then the opening comes. We're like, Doctor Strange? No, it's Wong, damn it. What's Wong doing in here? Wong is connected to the Avengers? Nah, I'm not with it. I am not with Wong. I'm not with the Avengers Initiative. in the comic books, I'm not. I know the initiative is what's the name called it, and Sam Jackson as Nick Fury calls it. But the comic book initiative, I wasn't with that. That whole thing where they just like, hey, you know, text me. You got Bruce has all my number, has all my information. All right, I'll see you on Zoom, or I'll see you on Snapchat. They're not doing anything for us to like. I just gave up all of my negative stuff towards Captain Marvel, and they put it all back because they keep making her so disjointed, and she's older than all of these characters, and they don't act like the character has any sort of weight. She's just some flighty character that has no weight to her. You know, it's like this is a it wasn't originally Claremont, but I mean, he didn't create it, but Claremont wrote her for a while. So it's like that idea of sort of having a strong woman, and they're just going to give her all the flighty stuff when she's supposedly the strongest person in the Marvel universe or cinematic universe, and she just gets all the flighty stuff. What I don't want to see Bruce no more if he's gonna have his freaking arm in a sling. Get that's not working. No Hulk with an arm and a sling. None of that. That's not. I don't want to see no. I don't want Shang-Chi to be in the Avengers. I don't want to see none of that. That don't. None of it works. I'm not a fan of none of that. Ugh. Are you still there? Did I
You
lose
notice,
you?
so you noticed that his arm was in a sling, and you also noticed that he's got a head full of gray hair. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, they're gonna get rid of him. They get rid of him.
Reboot. Don't
No,
give us.
they're not gonna get rid of. They're gonna get rid of him. He's either gonna be Amadeus Cho, and he's gonna be
That's what I said. That's what I thought too.
he's gonna be the Korean Hulk, or the She Hulk is gonna come, and we're gonna see how a woman Hulk can be better than the male Hulk ever was. She's not gonna lose a fight to Thanos.
This is just. I just didn't like. I mean, I think I was arguing with Mars about the idea of him becoming an Avenger and being being the token Asian guy on the Avengers. Well, look, he got these energy bands that he can like sling around and do stuff, but he can't do the stuff he was doing with that the Mandarin could do. Like he could
Yeah,
freeze
you
you,
remember?
the black light, all that's the disintegration
Oh,
beam.
forget that. I'm just talking about the movie. The Mandarin, his father. I'm sorry, I'm calling anyway. His father takes the bands and is able to jump over the entire expanse of that lake to the door.
Mhm.
Shang-Chi couldn't do it. He had to jump on the back of the dragon and get a lift. I'm like, why don't you just take the bands and do what you did? Just do the same thing. Like, no, he can't do that. But I'm the dragon rider.
And his sister's already riding the dragon. That's the thing. She's already on the dragon. Why does he need to like? It's like they're sharing time, and it's just like then they have a ridiculous end scene where she's running the illegal business or setting up a new fight club or to have a Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi 2, which would be Mortal Kombat or something like that. Like, come on.
No, but we knew that had to look. That again, for me, that was telegraphed. That was telegraphed, especially once he said, my sister's back there and she's closing down my father's stuff. I'm like, sure she is. She's taking it over. And then once we say, oh yeah, let me guess, she'll take it over. And oh yeah, she'll again for me, I was like, okay, I get the pandering. I get it. No
Dude,
problem.
she was desecrated the whole land with all that bad graffiti of women. Like, it's a mess. What kind of.
No, now it's an improvement. It's better.
I know graffiti when I see it. Just because you put up some murals of some unknown chicks, why
What
don't you
you
put up
call
Maya Angelou or something like that?
but what you call graffiti, they call equality. It's
Like, no,
equality.
let's do let's do the comparison. This is the basic comparison. You ever been to a bar and you can't get to the men's room and they say you can go into the women's room?
Never.
It's happened to me. They're going in there and they don't have like the dumb stuff that the guys have. They have some inspirational stuff in there, stuff that can help you in your future. The guys stuff, we know what the guys stuff has. Numbers of people you should call.
Yeah.
It's gonna burn you. You're gonna get burned if you're crazy enough to call them. Don't do it.
No, the men's room is pretty much look. The men's room is an in and out function. Get in, do what you need to do, get out.
And
There's no,
if you see the be here at such and such time, run.
yeah,
You're in there at that time. You're in trouble.
there's no, there's it's get in, get out. Try not to make eye contact. Really, don't make eye contact if you can avoid it. Just get out. Women's room, I have no idea what's going on there. I do know once I looked past the women's room with the door open and there was a couch there for women to sit and wait. So I was like, I looked at that and I was like, what the hell is going on in there? I was like, you know what? That's not for me. That's not my room. I'm gonna go to my room. It's very sterile, very stoic. And that's it. We're just getting in and getting out. That's pretty much the end of it. I have had the
But I
opposite
don't
happen.
think she would make graffiti on the outside. I don't think she would ruin it. If she wants to have some murals on the inside, possibly, yeah. But on the outside, just because what else are we going to do? It's like, oh, they're going to show the expanse of this thing. Cool, saying goodbye that this is what all she's going to take care of. Now we got to see these crappy murals on there. It's just like, come on, just to have the new this where girls and guys can fight. They should be fighting in separate leagues, even though the Mortal Kombat had the chick fighting the guys and what. I can't. Anyway, the thing is like this.
Mortal Kombat doesn't count because in Mortal Kombat, everybody has superpowers. Everybody has superpowers. It's not a male female thing. Sonya has superpowers. Liu Kang has superpowers. So that's pretty much the equalizer in everything. Okay, you could go over and fight and physically, as a human being, they may be stronger, but the equalizer is who's ever got the better key energy, yada 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 yada. Totally different. But hey, she came, she saw, she took it over, she graffitied it up, quality, beauty of outcome, yada yada yada.
Well, with that said, we got through the movie. The big issue that we've hinted at in this thing is that, unlike similar to some of the stories where you have like Tony Stark, which you have a little bit more of the sarcasm that he may have had, but since he's not necessarily always been a man of action, they went more towards what sarcasm you could get out of Tony Stark. So it seemed like even though it was sort of semi-different, it was like there was so much other good, so much heart to it. You're like, I can kind of accept that. I can look past a lot of this. You got Captain America, it was just Captain America. You got Thor. Thor was a little more Hercules, but had some elements of Thor in there, right? But it had a little more because he could try to do the speeches that Thor did, but they wouldn't come off. They would be more like sort of a blowhard. That's why
Yep.
it's like Hercules. But then, and then as you go along, you got Black Panther right on the money, just like Captain America. Right on the money. So you got that. Then you get to Shang-Chi, like, we need, when you saw, you need sort of that sort of thing instead of trying to do this and make the character huggable and lovable. Who the hell cares? I understand that's the way to go, and they made Kunlun into a nice fantasy place like Walt Disney World, and they stole some of the stuff from some Pokemon pictures and whatnot. I'm not letting them get off the hook with that stuff. But then you get to that, like they got all these weird things. None of them other things can fight. They need to be like in that King Kong and Godzilla. They need some stuff in that crazy land that can fight, not just the
I don't know. I thought the Asian lions were pretty much all they needed. Well, that's all I cared
yeah
about anyway. I was like, look at those lions. Those lions
yeah
are
yeah
boss.
yeah.
Like, this is great. How about Shang-Chi, master of the Asian lions?
Well, it just when they get, I mean, one of the things that's one thing when I saw when I saw it was Sam Jackson as Nick Fury. There's so many cool Nick Fury sequences that we couldn't see, right? And since Nick Fury,
Yeah, all
the
the ones
comic book is so similar to what Paul Glacy would do in Master Kung Fu, but the whole different locales. This one man of action walking into these areas, people attacking him being ready to fight, even though he's walking in there just like, I don't care. It don't matter who come. I'm ready. And it's like you get all these cool action scenes, these cool locales. And not to say these locales weren't cool, but it's just like, yo, the core needs to be cool, that sort of thing, and we got a totally different thing, and we got a totally different character that's somehow going to be buddying up with the Avengers, and they're putting together a mix of characters.
That's such a see, that's a misstep because the Marvel comic universe isn't the Avengers. You have other teams. You have other places where these guys could fit in. Some of them, yeah, look, fit in on a team. I'm not really, that's not me at the end of the day. But the Avengers is the big draw. So then it becomes, okay, can we do something where this guy can actually fit on the Avengers? He has some equipment, he has some sort of power, he has this, what have you, but he can actually sit there. Because trust me, once they make I'm betting, once we see Captain America 4, the Falcon will be fighting people as if he has the super soldier serum, even though we know he doesn't have it. They'll just, nobody cares. We'll just make him, he's just going to come over. He's been training hard. That'll be the end of it. So you shouldn't be, I really think, okay, why don't you expand this a little bit? You could do the Defenders, but they
Yeah,
already, you could do the Defenders because anybody can be on the Defenders. And it's just like, it's not, well, you're a team member now. No, this is a non-team. We get together as things go. We had like a core group for the most part. But other than that, it was just like, you could put anybody on the squad. They're not going that route. At least they're not going that route yet. But before we get any further, I don't want anyone to think anything. I am at this point, I'm advocating, hey, go out and see it. Go out and see the movie. I do think you'll be entertained. I do think it's money well spent. You have a good time. It's a good film. It's a good film. In spite of all the stuff, all the criticism that I may levy at it and so on and so forth, most of that comes from the fact that I have loved Shang-Chi, and really, this is such a departure from that particular character.
that's me.
It's such a departure. It would be the same thing if I looked at the Black Panther and it was like this movie. I probably would have got up and started lighting the building. I would have been like, "What the hell is this?" This is sacrilege at the end of the day. But they, for the most part, they nailed that. They nailed that character. However, in that film, they made the same mistake they made in this film. They killed off just about all the men. They killed them all off. I mean, look, I don't see, and this is where people get into trouble. Every time people talk about natural order and so on and so forth, they don't like to hear it. I understand that, look, in terms of nature, men are expendable. You don't need as many men as you need women. That's pretty much the end of that. So when I see the guys die, I'm like, I expect that their characters just put there to die at the end of the day. But then I'm looking at Shang-Chi. You killed his father. You killed the guy who trained him. You killed the dude who was like in the leadership role of the Kunlun people. And then I'm looking like just about every guy who had a role, with the exception of Razor Fist, that particular villain, you killed them all. You killed everybody, and the only person left is Shang-Chi, but he's got this incredibly large female supporting cast. So then it becomes, I don't know what it is that you're trying to tell me. But this was the same thing you did in Black Panther. You literally killed off everybody, with the exception of Taku, who was a traitor, okay, and T'Challa. And then, Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul, he leaves us. But then it becomes, what's the next movie going to be about? What's going to be about World of Wakanda? I don't know. I think that world means women of Wakanda. And it's the same thing in this film. Wong comes over and he's like, okay, hey, Shang-Chi, I need you to come back with me. You too, Katie. What did she need for? I'm like, okay, let me be patient. Maybe when we get there, he'll tell us why it is that she needs to be. No.
Because she's Shadow from the Green Arrow series.
Oh, good. She's not even that. I was thinking, does she need to be there to drive the car? Is that what it is? This guy's a valet, but he doesn't know how to drive the car? And then, maybe they got a song and this 3-part harmony. They're doing this karaoke all the time, and that's what they need. She's just there. I'm like, why is she here? Oh, I know why she's here. Crazy Rich Asian. They loved her in that film. Like, no, we got to get as much Awkwafina as possible. Okay, get her in here.
Well, that's also saying that we don't think this guy can carry the film. Let's just have her in every scene with him in it, because we're not buying it.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I think 2 billion, I think Chinese people can't be wrong when we already said, they were already saying, we think we need a handsomer lead at the end of the day. So that may have something to do with it. I know that Disney wants to take as an inoffensive approach as possible.
Yes.
They want to take it. I mean, it's to the point we don't even have we don't have the standard stuff we would have in a movie like this, where this guy would meet a girl okay, and maybe have the buddings of a relationship with this girl, not even a kiss,
That's
nothing.
no, we need to know what that's because this is what I was gonna argue with Mars about. But there was something else that Mars had said that was he was right about earlier. But gratefully, we moved past it. So we had to talk about the so-called romance, or people saying the process of elimination. They're in a relationship. No, they are not. They are friends. She put her head on his shoulder. You can't even call that cuddling. They've been through a lot. Unless you see them making up, oh, that's just Disney and Hollywood being scared to, have them actually make out or anything like that. And maybe they shot it and said, "It don't work for us. We did test audience and everyone said blah." But I mean, I say if you were gonna do a romance, put it in there and do it. Don't chicken out. But they decided.
I'm pretty sure they didn't do the. I'm pretty sure they didn't waste the film on that. I'm pretty sure they no. We're not going. We're not going to go for that at all. I mean, some of the. I mean, look, I get some of the basic. I get a lot of the trophies they're going for. The women do it better. The Mandarin's been alive for 1,000 years, but he meets, he meets the defender of Kunlun over there, and she's better and everything of that nature. Then it's time for Shang-Chi to go next level. Michelle Yao, of course, is able to bring him over there, even though this guy's been training, with the, suppose, I get all of those particular trophies at the end of the day. But then the other ones, they're like, no, we're getting away from that type of stuff. There's no romance. None of that stuff is going to be a part of this. Not even the buddings of it. These guys are just going to be good friends. There was a little boy who was sitting in the theater, not too far from me. Okay. And this kid couldn't be more than 8, 9 years old or something of that nature. And even I think he turned to his mom. He's like, oh, that's probably going to be his girlfriend now. And I was like, this kid gets it. This kid gets it. How old is he? 8 or 9? And he's like, no, this is what normally happens, right? And I never had any issue with it because in these films, for the most part, they're very intense situations. And intense situations tend to they either force people apart or bring them really, really tight together at the end of the day. Okay? Because they're learning more about this person within the time frame of this film, especially in an action movie. Because usually it's a lot of stuff that happens within maybe like a week's time. They're learning more about this person, in that amount of time than they may do on like months of dating at the end of the day. So I was like, okay, it's like expedited stuff, and they've already made a decision that at the very least, we're going to see where this goes. They didn't even put that anywhere in there. I was just like, okay, those type of aspects, and that was like big aspect of Shang-Chi stuff where he had this relationship with Leiko Wu. So I was expecting her to come in, and then I was like, okay, this is not going to be about any espionage. We will not see Interpol. We sure as hell won't see Black Jack Tar. He's never going to appear in this sequence over here. Okay. And this is just going to be, hey, we're good friends. Maybe I'll catch you at McDonald's.
Well, with that said, that's the thing. When you look at if they wanted to do the shorthand relationship sort of thing, I mean, people have done that sort of thing. I think, and I would go to two things. I think I was watching. I think the first or second episode of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. But Lois is just like the top reporter, and she don't want to have to deal with Clark Kent and this, that, and the other. And he's like, "No, take Kent with you." And she's like not into it the entire time. They go to the house, and then he kind of calls her on her BS, and she kind of complains back. The next thing you know, I think she rushes his place at some point. I didn't get to see it while I was watching it, but I know she comes and she sees him either like with no shirt on, and it kind of changes her look of the whole situation. And it's like, yeah, that can happen for people. And they kind of were trying to do that when he's like, oh wow, like you're in shape, but then he kind of does I'm nobody. Like it's like
I can understand that scene. And they were like, okay, and take your shirt off. And then she's like, why is your shirt off? He was like, I don't know why my shirt. I'm like, the fact that you guys got to keep asking.
yeah.
Okay. Here's why your shirt off. It's called exploitation. That's why your shirt is off. Okay. You're supposed to, have a good form and everything of that nature. That's for the ladies in the audience. It also supposed to show that to be quite honest, The guy's kind of chubby in the face. So if I was just going by the face and everything, I would be like, this dude looks like he needs to do some push-ups.
Well, that's where you put, like, the thing is like this. If you take the character, right, and you don't make him a valet, you have to you're dealing with style. And there were so many visual cues in the comic book. And even before, like, it went to Galassi, when he had Starlin in there and he has the outfit on there, there's so much cool stuff in there, and it's just like fights all over the place. So if you're gonna do that, but it has some backdrop of what was going on there that led to add to the ambiance of what's going on, the mise en scene, that whole stuff. They're not doing that. They just be like, whatever Marvel stuff, just green screen it, and we'll put some stuff in later. Just keep moving. We got to get this thing out. Well, we made 140 million, perfect. That's it. Nobody, like, people are commenting that, a lot of the older filmmakers are putting a lot of backdrops and doing a lot of things, and for the amount of money it cost and the amount of actors that was in Sin City, you understand why it was all green screen, and they kind of put these locale to get this whole effect, right? That's one thing. You don't have to do the Sin City when you're Disney and you got the Avengers, you got all this ton of money. Like, they're just like, but I mean, I don't know. I just wish they could get some more of that sort of style, sort of thing of saying, when you look at this character, you can buy, you want to buy him into being the coolest guy on the planet. And that sort of thing, with having him be a valet, having him have these windbreakers on, it's just not, it's like the guy has no style. It's just like come on, like, give him something where you just see him and it's just like, and there's some sort of presence. And it's like, then when it goes with what you're saying, his face, and you're just like,
when you say presence, do you mean like, I don't know, maybe like Bruce Lee?
well, you don't have. That's the thing. You got a movie where you got the first part, and they're not saying he's an official agent, but he feels like an agent. You can watch that movie from the middle, and it's just like, I think he's he's working for. He's got a. This stuff is set up where he's going about things, where he's got like plans and this, that, and the other. Not in the same motion like James Bond, but he feels like they're conveying him as an agent. That sort of thing. That's what the feel is. And it's like, then you go to like, you call it by the real name, I always call it by the names I know about Game of Death. Like, you got him in this jumpsuit, and then next thing you know, it's just like, it's parts that get ripped, and it's just like, it's just cool. Like, if you're gonna come up with something, you're not gonna have him in the cool, put him in a cool outfit. That's why Tarantino stole it. Like, Uma Thurman didn't even know why she was wearing it. She's just like, why she got me in this dumb thing?
They tied it into the story. So he's there, he's got the black outfit on because he's trying to sneak around at night. He gets caught. The guy holds on to his shirt too long, he gets ripped off. Oh, so now we get to see how physically fit he is, and without asking the question, well, why is my shirt off? No, we know why your shirt is off. We know why your shirt is off at the end of the day. What can I say?
Dude, when he's in the key, when he's at the thing and on the guy, and he goes like, whoosh. It's like that's the thing. You want presence where you just go in any sort of thing. The Kato outfit, you're just like a presence. That's all I asked for. But they gave you something that was huggable and lovable, and he could be a friend, a guy you could put into a friend zone. That's what you want out of your Asian hero. I'm sorry. That was going overboard, throwing him in the friend zone, superhero friend zone. Where Aquafina friend zoned him. It's like it's like, you got a body, but I don't know yet. I'm not sure. Maybe there's some other Avengers I could date before we try.
Did you notice there were no black people in the movie?
Oh, why would you go there?
Hey, I don't know who's listening to this, but who knows? Maybe they'll get some traction out of it. There were no black people in the movie. Nobody black had a suitable role in this movie. Not even the black best friend. What you got to say about that, Petey?
We cannot recommend it without at least we need some sort of, like, oh gosh. throw in the Dora Milaje at the end. They're like really afraid to upset the Asian. Who knows what they'll say in China, and saying how, oh, when the person came on there it got dark. The scene got so dark and black. Sorry, that's me repeating. That's me quoting what they said. It's not me making up on my own. Uh, made me think about that. That kind of hurt. That hurt really bad. Anyway, closing out, we got a recommend from Calvin. We got a different recommend from Mars, who isn't here, and we got me, who's, you know, just knows what the shots I love to see from the comic book, and say, hey, you could have fun in the movies watching it, and it's kind of soft. It just needed one. Okay, so my idea is that it needed some more elements, and it needed a little more challenge for Shang-Chi. He just learns the wind technique. Oh, he learned. I was calling it the drum technique, like in Karate Kid 2, because everyone seems to want to steal from the Karate Kid 2 now.
He
Hey,
learned the
just
movie.
learn this thing. Oh, ha, ha. It's
He
like,
learned the movie technique.
I can't. Anyway, that's what you borrow. Take from any film that you can, because people will be like, all you have to do is, well, you can't say the DC movies or anything that can be credited to DC, but borrow
When in
whatever
doubt,
you can, because that's what movies do. What were you about to say? Sorry.
I was gonna say, when in doubt, steal from Ralph Macchio.
All right, and that said, spin a rack.
Out. See, that was positive.